सर सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है। सर।
Can you hear me?
यस सर।
Okay, good. Thank you. So in the yesterday lecture, we discussed about the steps of fitting of generalized linear models on the line of Box and Jenkins. And the first step is model selection. While selecting the model, you have to select the model from a wider class which satisfy the certain properties. Further, we have to see the how the data is generated, which measuring instrument is used, is there any systematic effect is present in the data or not, and simultaneously while fitting the generalized linear models or the selection of the models, you have to see that the errors follows the independent assumptions. That means whatever the observations you are recording, they are independent in nature. So that is the first assumption of uncorrelatedness that we have to consider. So when you talk about the uncorrelatedness or independent, it means that the data which depends on each other, we should not consider while developing the model. For example, data is collected from the time series. The observations are correlated with each other. So we can violate the basic assumption of generalized linear models about the uncorrelatedness. Another thing is that there is a single error term in our model. If there is a situation, if there are more than one error terms arises, then we should not consider such kind of the data for fitting of a generalized linear models. For example, split plot experiment, where we have a two level of errors are that errors due to the main plot and errors due to the subplot. So we can avoid this such kind of a uh, example while fitting the generalized linear models. So when you talk about generalized linear models, there are mainly two assumptions. One is the uncorrelatedness, and second one is a variance is a function of mean. So in classical linear regression models, if you talk about the variance, so variance is a free from the mean. That means each and every observation contribute equal weight in the measure of discrepancy, that is summation I running from 1 to n yi minus yi bar square or mu cap square. However, in a generalized linear models, we should apply the generalized linear models for the such data where the variance is a function of mean. But while selecting the model, we should always see that the scale or the model which should have a good scale. So when you say that the model having good scale, it means it satisfies the constant variance assumption. Simultaneously, it is talking about the linearity. Further, it is saying that the errors are normally distributed with additivity of the systematic effects. So these are considered to be a good scale. But there are the situations where we do not have the additivity effect, we do not have a normality assumption, and we do not have a constant variance assumption. So in such a case, you have to have make some transformation on the data so that it should have a constant variance, normality, and systematic effect. For example, if you talk about the analysis of counts, so analysis of counts, the error structure is well approximated by the Poisson distribution. And when you use about the Poisson distribution, usually there is no additive effect. It is a multiplicative effect in nature. So if y having a Poisson distribution, then it does not satisfy the constant variance assumption, additivity effect, and normality. So you should make some transformation. Suppose if we take the square root transformation of y, okay, if you take the square root transformation of y, then what happens? It is giving the constant variance assumption, but it does not give the normality. So if we take the transformation 2 by 3 of y, then it produces approximately normal. And if you are looking for the additivity effect, so we know that if log of AB is equal to log of A plus log of B. That means whenever there is a multiplicative effect is present, the best and desirable transformation is a log transformation. So we take the log y. And then, so if you make this kind of the transformation, it can handle this issue. When you study about individually, when response follows the Poisson distribution. But in generalized linear models, if you look about the generalized linear models, it remove the effect of the scaling problem. Normality and constant variance assumption are the no longer requirement of the generalized linear models, and additivity of the systematic effects can be obtained by just transforming the scale if necessary. So we are talking about there are two types of the independent variables. If the independent variables are of qualitative in nature, we call them as a factor, and if independent variables are quantitative in nature, we call them as a covariate. Ultimately, our aim in the regression analysis, either it is a regression analysis or generalized linear models, we are interested to find out the expected value of response. That is expected value of y. We call them as a mu, and the estimate is obtained by based on the regression is that mu cap equal to sum over bjxj, where bj is nothing but the estimate of the regression coefficient. So while estimating the expected value of y, we should see that we should add only limited number of terms in the model, and that term should explain maximum information contained in the y. Well, what happens if we add the number of variables in the model? Of course, the model is improved further and further, but it is also simultaneously improving the complexity. So we require the model which should be less complex and explain maximum information contained in the y. So that is how we are looking for the parsimony of the model. Once the model is decided, our next task is that we wish to go for the estimation of the parameter. So estimation of parameter, it means the estimate of the model. So given a decision to select a particular model, we have to estimate the unknown parameters and obtain some measure of the accuracy with which we have estimated them. So we require some estimation procedure, and whatever the estimation procedure we adopt over here, it should have some measure of accuracy. Estimation proceeds by defining a measure of goodness of fit between the data and corresponding set of fitted values generated by the model, and choosing the parameter estimate as those minimize the chosen goodness of fit criterion. So here the estimation procedure should be adopted in such a way that it should minimize the goodness of fit criterion. And here the goodness of fit criterion is decided based on the difference between the data and fitted value generated by the models. As you say that if the difference is lower, so we say that this model is actually representing the data. So we say that that model is good. So our aim is that we wish to estimate the parameters in such a way that that difference should be minimum. There are advantages is using as the goodness of fit criterion, not the likelihood. Instead of likelihood, we will use the linear function of it. So in maximum likelihood estimation, what we do? We actually maximize the likelihood function. But here, we wish to minimize the goodness of fit criterion, and we will consider the goodness of fit criterion, which is a linear function of a log likelihood. So what is that linear function of log likelihood? It is a minus 2 times L mu y minus L y y. You say that you can see that here I have in this term I have replaced mu by y. That means this is completely a likelihood based on the data, and this is the likelihood based on the model, because mu is our model parameter and that we wish to estimate. So that means if you say that the difference between the likelihood under model consideration and likelihood under the database consideration, so this is nothing but the likelihood under the saturated model. That means when all the data point, all the parameters replaced by the data point, then we call them as a saturated log likelihood. So we wish to minimize this difference twice of log of mu minus log y, where LYY is the maximum likelihood achievable for an exact fit in which fitted values are replaced by the data. Okay. So because LYY does not depend on the parameters, we will call such likelihood as a saturated likelihood. So now our aim is that we wish to maximize ln mu y. If we maximize this, then this will be minimized. Why this will be minimized? If this is the maximum, so that maximum can reach up to the saturated. So either you maximize the likelihood or you minimize this particular linear function of a likelihood. And we know that what is the mu? So mu is nothing but if you have considered x1, x2, xp, p covariates in our data, then mu is nothing but the linear function of such covariates. So in second semester, we discuss about the residual sum of squares. Here we will not talk about the residual sum of square. We will call this quantity as a deviance. So this quantity twice of minus log likelihood under model consideration minus model saturated likelihood. So that is called the deviance. So in short, you can write the deviance as a minus 2 lm minus 2 ls. If you say this quantity is ls and this is a lm, then it is a minus twice of lm minus ls. We will see that this concept is more or less reaching to the likelihood ratio test. We know that likelihood ratio test, we call them as a lambda. Lambda is equal to likelihood under the null hypothesis. It is a ratio of likelihood under the null hypothesis to the likelihood under the parametric space. And we know that for a large value of n, minus 2 log lambda is asymptotically chi-square distribution. So this is nothing but the same thing. Minus 2 twice lambda is asymptotically chi-square. It is saying that this is the likelihood under the model consideration and this is the likelihood under the parametric space. That means all the parameters replaced by the observation. So this is actually nothing but it is a likelihood ratio test, and therefore it has the chi-square distribution. So that we will see in the later on. But in short, while estimating the parameters, how to estimate the parameters? We wish to estimate the parameters such that the deviance should be minimum. So deviance is nothing but the discrepancy between the likelihood under model consideration and likelihood under the saturated model. And you can see that if this difference is smaller, it suggests that the model based likelihood is very close to the database likelihood. It means that whatever the models we have considered to fit the data, that model fits the data well. So here the criteria, when you say that the model is fitting well to the data, we can say the lower the deviance, better fit to the data. Once the fitting part is over, first you select the model. That is the model selection is the first step. Second step is a estimation of the parameters by minimizing the deviance. And third is once that two step is achieved, now your next target is you wish to go for the prediction. So prediction is concerned with the formation of derived quantities, which are function of estimates and the associated fitted values, together with the measures of their uncertainty. For example, in a quantile response assay, we measure the proportion of individuals responding to the range of dose level. For example, the corona effect is going on, and we try to develop okay, what is the impact of the antibiotic azithromycin on the recovery of the patients who is suffering from the virus. Okay, so what amount of the dose you have to give to the patient? If certain level about the dose of the given to the patient, how many patient is cured? That means now response is whether the patient is cured or not. And independent variable is the amount of the dose which is controlled by the doctor. Okay, so you can see here your response is not quantitative, your response is a binary, whether the patient is recovered or not. And the amount of the dose is the independent variable and which is a quantitative. So you cannot apply the concept of a linear regression analysis. So one has to have some different method, and that method is known as a logistic regression. We then fit a model expressing how this proportion varies with the dose. So our response variable is a proportion of the patient is recovered, and corresponding the dose is a independent variable. And from the model, we predict the dose giving, for example, a 50% response rate. It means that if suppose the certain amount of the dose is given to the patient, 50% patients are cured. So prediction is commonly thought in context of a time series, where it is required to predict the future behavior of the system from the observations of its past behavior. So when we usually talk about the prediction, we always talk about the time series based on the past record, what will happen to the future. However, the above example shows that prediction is wider in scope, that is, time entering only indirectly, in that we are predicting the dose at which a further sample of population of individual used for testing would give 50% response. So in our case of a quantile response study, time came automatically indirectly. We are not looking at the impact of the time. Here we are looking for the, if I am looking for the 50% response rate, what amount of the dose I should given to the patient, so that the 50% response rate will be there. So as soon if the infection criteria is infection rate is high, doctor will initially give the higher dose to control the infection, and then slowly they may reducing the dose. So this all database, you have to identify the optimum size of the dose, and that is how there is a different if you look at the capsule, so it is of a different mg. Some capsules are of a 500 mg, some capsules are of a 250 mg, 50, and according to the amount of a dose, the cycle is decided, how much amount of the washout period is there, how many times the actual content of the drug remain in your stomach. So this all they will study, and based on that decide if the patient having a age this, suffering from the diabetes, suffering from this, then this should be ideal dose. So this all the combination that you have to understand, and then you have to design the dose. And how this combination can be studied, it is based on the modeling. So instead of doing for a logistic regression individually, you can consider the generalized linear models, and generalized linear models is also contain the logistic regression. So clearly the accuracy of prediction depends upon the model selected, and in turns one criteria of selecting a model would be to maximize the accuracy of a particular prediction where the experiments are concerned. So accuracy of prediction is of course depends on the model selected, and we wish to select the models in a such a way that which has the maximum accuracy, and further the control is possible, and covariate value can be chosen to optimize the prediction. And we wish to also identify that which covariates are really responsible to optimize the prediction. So we need a model which should have a good prediction. When I am saying the good prediction, it means that there is a high level of accuracy in a specific bound, and that is how we say that the 95% confidence interval. And we are always looking for a confidence interval which is of a narrow in nature. We never interested the wider confidence interval. So when we say that narrow confidence interval, it means that this forecasting error, that is the standard deviation of the forecasting error, is a small. That means it is giving the prediction at the high accuracy level. And we wish to identify which covariates are important to increase the optimization of a prediction. So these are the things we have seen about the model selection, then estimation, and then prediction. Any query, any questions till 3 lectures? Because now we will slowly and gradually jump into the mathematics.
Sir, will you please again explain the prediction, sir?
Pardon?
Prediction. Third step, sir.
Prediction. Okay. See, why we develop the model? Because ultimately our aim is for a prediction. Every time we don't want to go for the experiment, whatever the past records is with us, based on that we develop the models, and we see that whatever the developed model having the high accuracy. When you say that high accuracy, that means when we go for prediction, it will give the nice prediction. That means it gives the result nearer to the true value.
Yes.
So how to select the good predicted value? The good prediction is depends on the good model. And how to select the good models? So you have to study the property of the data, nature of the data. Then we have to identify the models. Once the model identification part is over, we need to go for estimation.
Yes.
In this setup, estimation of parameter is made based on minimizing criteria. What is minimizing criteria? So we wish to minimize here linear function of log likelihood, which we call them as the deviance. And deviance is nothing but minus twice of
So,
log likelihood under model consideration
yes.
and log likelihood under saturated model.
Saturated model, right?
So when we say saturated model means all the parameters are replaced by the data.
Right.
So if you look at the formula of the deviance, it is minus twice of L mu minus Ly. It means that if that value is minimized, it suggests that the difference between the L mu, I will call Lm, that is model under consideration, and Ls, that is the likelihood under saturated model. If the difference between the Lm minus Ls is the smaller, it means that whatever model we have selected, which is very close to the data, and that is what we call them as a good fit model.
Good model.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Anyone? Okay, so when I started my generalized linear models, what I have discussed, I said we will consider the response having some distribution, like it is a family of distribution instead of the individual distribution. So generalized linear model is a natural generalization of a classical linear regression models. In classical linear regression models, we have assumed that errors follows the normal distribution. But in generalized linear models, we say that errors or response follows a exponential family of distribution. So instead of the normal, we will consider that it has the exponential family of distribution. And who are the member of exponential family of distribution? So let us see. You must have seen the different form of exponential family of distribution in the second semester while studying the estimation part. Here we will consider the some little difference form, but again the forms are identical in nature. You can verify it at your level. So exponential families. A distribution for a random variable y belongs to an exponential family if its density has the following form. So when you say the random variable y belongs to the exponential family, if its density function is given by this. So what is the form of density? It is a f of y theta phi. It means theta and phi are the parameters of a exponential family of distribution. It is nothing but exponent of y theta minus b of theta divided by a of phi plus cy phi. So here y into theta, b of theta is nothing but it is a sum function of theta, a of phi is nothing but the sum function of phi, and cy phi is a sum function of y and phi. Here theta is said to be a natural parameter and phi is said to be a scale parameters. A, b and c are the sum functions. So what is the form of exponential family? It is a f of y theta phi is equal to exponent of y theta minus b theta upon a phi plus cy phi. This entire quantity is in the power of exponent. It is e to the power, where a, b and c are the functions. There are two parameters in the above density, theta, which is called the natural parameter, is the one which is relevant to the model for relating response y to the covariates. So here theta is said to be natural parameters and it is a responsible parameters to model the expected value of y to the covariates. So what is the expected value of y? In our case it is a mu. So mu is equal to, we have considered the summation beta j xj. Okay. And phi is known as a scale parameters or a dispersion parameters. So we are mainly interested in the theta. We are not much concerned about the scale parameter phi while we're dealing with the exponential family of distribution. Again, I am repeating, y is a member of exponential family of distribution. So density is given by f of y theta phi is equal to e raised to y theta minus b theta upon a phi plus cy phi, where theta is a natural parameter and which is responsible of connecting the expected response to the covariates. A, B, C are the function of the parameters and the y. B theta is a function of the theta. A phi is a function of the phi, where the phi is said to be a scale parameters. In the process of showing that the distribution is the member of exponential family, it is important to remember that theta is a function of mu. What is mu? Mu is equal to expected value of y. So here theta is equal to natural parameter. It means that theta is a function of a mu. And what is the mu? Mu is nothing but the expected value of y, which we are interested to predict. Ultimately, our aim is not to estimate the theta. Our aim is to estimate the expected response. And what is the expected response? It is the expected value of y. And what is the expected value of y? It is a mu. So ultimately, we wish to obtain the estimate of a mu. But y is a function of, when we do the models, y is a dependent variable, then it should be a function of independent variable. But can you see any x in the equation number 1.2? No. So anyhow, we do some sort of a changes, and we will allow the x into the density function. So that we will discuss later. Here you have to remember that why having an exponential family of distribution rather than the normal distribution. Theta and phi are the two parameters. Theta is a natural parameters and which is responsible for connecting the expected response to the linear predictor or the covariance, and that is how it is said to be a link function that we will discuss later. Phi is said to be a scale parameters. A, B, C are the some function, and here our aim is to estimate the mu, that is expected response, which is called the expected value of y, and theta is a function of a mu. So let us understand who are the members of exponential family of distribution. Remember this form, and if you have a notebook, you can write down this form because we will compare this form while discussing with the normal density. Okay. So in second semester in exponential family, you may have studied that there are the distribution like normal distribution, binomial distribution, Poisson distribution, gamma distribution, exponential distribution are the member of exponential family. So let us verify one by one. Let us consider the normal distribution. The random variable y is said to have a normal distribution with mean mu and variance sigma square. Then its density function is given by f of y theta phi. Here I am not writing mu sigma square, I am writing theta phi because I will convert later them into the theta phi form. So what is the form of the normal distribution? It is a 1 upon root 2 pi, either sigma or पूरा square root में लिखेंगे, it is a 1 upon root 2 pi sigma square exponent of minus half of y minus mu square upon sigma square. Now can we write in the simple form like that exponent of y mu minus mu square by 2 upon sigma square, because here you can say that y square minus 2 mu y plus mu square, okay, divided by 2. So here I have taken the 2 y mu minus minus plus, so that is 2 to cancel out, that is y minus mu. Here it is a plus mu square, but the sign is minus, so it is a minus mu square, but the 2 is in denominator, so it is a mu square by 2 divided by sigma square. And what rest part is available? Minus y square, so that is minus half of y square upon sigma square. And if you take the, because I am writing in the exponent form, so if I wish to write in the form of exponent, I will take the log, so that means minus half of log 2 pi sigma square, minus sign is outside, so I can have this. So in short, the above form, this form is written in this structure. Why I have written in this structure? Because I wish to compare the equation number 1.3 with the exponential family of distribution. And what is the form of exponential family of distribution? You know, it is a exponent of y theta minus b theta upon a phi plus c y phi. And that is how I told you. You should write in the notebook so that you can easily compare. Now I will compare the one by one term. What happened? In exponential family, it is a y theta. This is a b of theta. This is a of phi. And this is a c of y phi. Because instead of phi, here it is a sigma square. Why? Because sigma square is a scale parameter. In our case, phi is a scale parameter. So you can see that this is the purely function of y and phi, that is y and sigma square. So I will call them as a cy phi. This is a here in exponential family y theta. So here can we say that theta equal to mu, and this part is a minus b theta. So can I say that this is a b theta and this is of a phi, and a phi is equal to phi, because phi is our sigma square. So here I have written compare 1.3 with the 1.2. I can have a theta equal to mu, phi is equal to sigma square, and because Fi is here sigma square, so that is phi sigma square, so Fi is equal to phi, and B theta equal to minus mu square by, mu square by 2. But what is mu? Mu is equal to theta, so I can write it is a theta square by 2, and C by phi equal to this. So thus we can say that the natural parameter for the normal distribution is mu and the scale parameter is sigma, and in our case theta is equal to mu. So in second semester you have developed the models y is a function of x. That means you have find out expectation value of y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x directly. So that is how it is saying that this link is said to be an identical link or canonical link. When I am saying identical means you can directly equate the covariates. Okay. Otherwise, you require some form of that. That we will see later on. But in short, if we can write the normal distribution in this structure, then we can say that the normal distribution is a member of exponential family. And what is the scale and what is the natural parameters that we have. Everybody is clear about it?
Yes, sir.
Any question? See, this is very important. You should be able to identify, or you should be able to write the particular distribution function in the form of exponential family. Because ultimately, in generalized linear models, we are looking for the natural parameters, we are looking for the scale parameters, and we are looking for the function of the theta, that is called the b theta. And then the entire procedure will continue. So if you are clear, we will move to the another. Let us say you talk about the Poisson distribution. So in normal distribution, variance is a free from mean, but in Poisson distribution, variance is a function of mean. Why? Because variance of Poisson distribution and mean of the Poisson distributions are equal. Now we know that if the random variable y is said to have a Poisson distribution with parameter mu, instead of lambda I have taken the mu, because mu is the mean of the y, and here the lambda is nothing but the mean of y. I have just written the mu over here, mu raised to y e raised to minus mu y factorial. We can write in the form of the exponent to exponent, so it is a y log mu minus log y factorial. Now you can compare 1.4 with the 1.2. So in our case, what is the form of exponential family? It is the exponent of y theta minus b theta upon a phi plus c y phi. So here, what is the coefficient of y? It is a log mu. So can we say theta equal to log mu? Yes. Here in the what is the b theta? So it is a mu. So b theta equal to mu, because theta equal to log mu. So mu equal to e raised to theta. So I can write b theta equal to e raised to theta. And in denominator, there is nothing value. So I have written it is a 1. And what is the c y phi? It is a minus log y factorial. So it is showing that Poisson distribution is a member of
Exponential
family of distribution.
distribution.
Is that clear? So you should have to give the response. Otherwise, we will finish the
Yes,
syllabus within 20 lectures.
sir. Yeah.
If you have any query, you can again tell. We will repeat it, because this is not the lecture we are recording for the YouTube. This is the online lecture, and we will share the recorded version so that whenever you wish, you can read and listen again. Okay, now we will talk about the third distribution. That is called binomial distribution. The random variable Z is said to be have a binomial distribution with parameter n and mu. Here, what is the mean of binomial response? NP. Okay, that means I am interested in the P proportion. What proportion of the patient are cured if the certain dose is given? So I am interested in the expected response, and expected response of the Bernoulli trial is P, and I instead of P I told them is a mu. So mu is nothing but my interest, and I am interested to find out the expected number of the patient is recovered. What proportion of the patient is recovered when the certain amount of the dose is given? Okay, what percent of the student is passed if the student has attended regular online classes, seen the recorded version, and performed the assignments and the reading? So which factor is really effective for the clearing the examination of a generalized linear model? Okay, so here we have a Z is a random variable whose PMF is given by Fz theta phi. We know that the PMF of the binomial distribution NCZ, instead of P we have considered the mu, so mu raised to Z 1 minus mu raised to n minus Z, and Z takes value 0 to n, where mu is lies between 0 to 1 because it is a probability of the success. So as I told you that I am interested in the mean response.
Yes.
I am not interested in the other things. So if I will write the particular structure, what is my mean response in a Bernoulli trial? It is mu. So I am interested in the mu. So I will just write the y as a z by n. What is z by n? Z takes value 0, 1 up to n. So what is the z by n? It takes value lies between 0 to 1.
1.
So it means y is a Bernoulli trial, and the sum of the Bernoulli is a binomial. If I will write y equal to z by n, that means wherever the z is there, I can write ny. Substitute this value of z into the equation 1.5, we get fy is equal to nc ny mu raised to ny and 1 minus mu raised to n minus ny. This is the my form of interest. Now I will write in the form of a exponential family of distribution. So how to write it? Let us, if you talk about this exponent, then it is a ny into log mu. Okay, so you can see that n into log mu. Is it?
Why?
Let us say it is a okay. Here there is a small mistake. It is
Why
a
is
n
there?
into log mu. So you can write it as a, let us say, log of n ncy. So that part is here. It is a ny into log mu and n into n minus ny into log 1 minus mu. Okay, so here what happened? They have taken the n is common. Here
Right.
there should be y is required.
Yes.
So n in bracket y log mu plus 1 minus y log 1 minus mu plus log of n ncy.
Yes.
nc ny. So okay, so here y is written. So now you can see that y log mu upon log 1 minus mu. This part. Why it is? Because 1 into log 1 minus mu and minus y into log 1 minus mu. So y is common, so I have taken n into log y into log mu upon 1 minus mu. And here plus. What is plus? 1 into log 1 minus mu. So that is what I have written here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the form I have. Now I will compare this form with the exponential family of distribution. So what is the form of exponential family? It is a y theta minus b of theta upon a phi plus c y phi. So what is the coefficient of y here? It is this. That means theta equal to log mu upon 1 minus mu. So you can see that it is written. So that means you can write mu upon 1 minus mu as a e raised to theta, which implies mu equal to e raised to theta upon 1 plus e raised to theta. Okay. And here, what is the form? Y theta minus b theta. But here it is a plus. So that means b theta is equal to minus log of 1 minus mu. So you can see that b of theta is equal to minus log 1 minus mu. And what is mu? It is a e raised to theta upon 1 minus theta. So it is written here 1 minus e raised to theta upon 1 plus e raised to theta. Here minus sign is there. Okay. Here is also there. So what is that? It is a 1 plus e raised to theta. Here minus e raised to theta is cancelled. Divided by 1 plus e raised to theta. Minus sign is outside, so you can write it as a log of 1 plus e raised to theta. Okay. And here in denominators, so it is a 1 by n. If you take this n into the ratio, it is written as a 1 by n. So here phi is equal to n. So a phi is equal to 1 by n. And what is cy phi? It is a log n and cy. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. What about the rest?
Yes, sir, clear.
Simply you have to just write in the form of exponent, and then you have to compare with the exponential family, and then you can get the theta equal to log mu upon 1 minus mu, and based on that you can write mu equal to e raised to theta upon 1 plus e raised to theta, and b theta equal to minus log 1 minus mu. It means that b of theta equal to log 1 plus e raised to theta. And here phi is equal to n because it is a scale parameters. So 1 by phi, that is a of phi is equal to 1 by n. And c of y phi is log n and c y and c and y. Okay. So it means that normal distribution is a member of exponential family. What is the theta in normal distribution? Theta equal to mu. What is the b theta? Anybody remember b theta? B theta equal to theta square by 2. In Poisson distribution, what is the theta? So theta is equal to log mu. So you can see here theta equal to mu. So we can say that theta is identical to mean. Here theta is a log mu. That means the mu is connected with theta based on the log link. Okay, so we will discuss about the various link function, and we said that in the normal distribution it is identical link. In a Poisson distribution it is a log link. What is the b theta over here? It is e raised to theta. In a binomial distribution, theta equal to log mu upon 1 minus mu, and b theta equal to log 1 plus e raised to theta. So you can see that this link is a, suppose mu is a success, so it is a log of ratio of probability of success to probability of failure. It is said to be Orr's ratio, and it is a log of Orr's ratio. So this link is known as a logistic link, and therefore when we apply the regression model for a binary response, it is said to be a logistic regression model. The reason is the form of the link is a logistic. Okay, and that we will see. And this is the expected response, that is the probability. So it is the form is e raised to theta upon 1 plus e raised to theta, and this is the form of a logistic distribution. And that is how the link is known as a logistic link or logit link. And the model is said to be a logistic regression. So that we will see. But in short, if I wish to apply the logistic regression, I should know that what is the value of theta and what is the value of the b theta. Because to estimate the parameters, I require the form of theta and b theta. In a normal distribution, theta equal to mu. and b theta equal to theta square by 2. In a Poisson distribution, theta equal to log mu and b theta equal to e raised to theta. In a binomial distribution, theta equal to log mu upon 1 minus mu and b theta equal to log of 1 plus e raised to theta, or minus, in terms of mu, if you can write b theta equal to minus log 1 minus mu. Now we talk about the another distribution called the gamma distribution. So we know that the gamma distribution is a member of exponential family, but whether it is a member of exponential family or not, how we know? If we can write its density function in the form of a exponential family. So the random variable y is said to have a gamma distribution with shape parameter alpha and scale parameter lambda if its PDF is given by. So its form of the PDF is given by f of y is equal to lambda raised to alpha gamma alpha y raised to alpha minus 1 e raised to minus lambda y, where y is greater than 0, alpha and lambda is also greater than 0. So gamma distribution is a positive valued random variable. That means y is always greater than 0. It is a lifetime distribution, and as I told you in the previous lecture, that in the form of a general insurance study, the claim size follows the gamma distribution. So gamma distribution play a very vital important in the reliability and life testing, as well as in the survival analysis. In generalized linear model, we wish to estimate mu through linear predictor. Here the term comes linear predictor. Suppose if you write in the linear regression models, expected value of y equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x, then beta 0 plus beta 1 x is known as a linear predictor. We call them as a eta. Eta equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x. So linear predictor, why linear predictors? Because x is a predictor variable and it is predicting the response y linearly. So it is said to be a linear predictor. If it is a non-linear, then it is a non-linear predictor, but that is not the part of our syllabus, so that we will not discuss. So ultimately, we wish to find out the expected value of y, and expected value of y we call them as a mu, and mu can be estimated or predict based on the x, and where the x is available in the linear predictor. But you can see the equation 1.7. Have you seen the term or the quantity mu in the particular density function? किसी को दिख रहा है mu? Anyone? Can anyone see the mu in the density function 1.7? No. And anyhow, we obtain the expected value of y. So that means we are interested in the mu. So by making some parameters changes, I have to allow mu into the density function. So we know that what is the mean of the gamma distribution? It is a expected value of y is equal to alpha by lambda, and expected value of y we call them as a mu. So that means the mean of the gamma distribution is a alpha upon lambda, and variance is a alpha upon lambda square. So what I do, I will make a small parametric changes. I will write the lambda equal to alpha by mu, and wherever there is a lambda is present in the equation 1.7, I will replace it by the alpha by mu, so that mu will enter into the particular density function. Why we are doing this exercise? Because earlier we said that theta is a function of a mu, and if it is no mu over here, how can you express the theta? So that is how anyhow we have to, by making any changes, we have to allow the mean of the response into the density function. So just substitute into the equation 1. What we will get? Mu alpha by mu raised to alpha, gamma alpha y raised to alpha minus y, and e raised to minus alpha by mu y. Just take the try to write down in the form of exponential family. So you can say that here it is already in the e power. So we can write it is a minus alpha by mu y. Okay, so if I will taken the alpha common, so it's either we have written minus y by mu, and here if we write in the form of the log, so it is alpha into log alpha by mu. Okay, plus alpha minus 1 by log y. Here 1 alpha upon log y, alpha is here, and this minus alpha log mu is written here. It is a mu, it is not the alpha. So kindly make a change. That is expected value of minus y by mu log mu into alpha plus alpha minus 1 into log y plus alpha log alpha minus log gamma alpha. So if you compare with the exponential family of distribution, this is nothing but the theta, because we have a theta y. So here theta equal to minus 1 by mu. And what is the b theta? So b theta is equal to log mu. Okay, so we can write in the form of the theta equal to minus 1 by here. So what will you write? It is a log of minus theta. So log mu is equal to minus log theta. Phi is equal to here. It is a, your scale parameter is considered as a alpha. So phi is equal to alpha and a phi, because this alpha can be written in the denominator as a 1 by alpha. The a of phi is equal to 1 by alpha, and this entire quantity is called as a c y phi. So alpha is a phi, so I have written here the phi. Phi minus 1 log y, phi log phi minus log of gamma phi. Okay. So in short, by modification or anything, you have to make a change in a such a way that the mu should allow into the density function. Why mu have to be in the density function? Because we know that the theta is a function of a mu. So anyhow, we require the mean in the particular density function. So we know the form of the mean of a gamma distribution having the two parameters alpha and lambda, that is mu equal to alpha by lambda. So we just substitute lambda equal to mu alpha by mu into the density function, and then express in the form of a exponential family of distribution, compare with the equation 1.2 of exponential family, and we got the theta equal to minus 1 by mu and b theta equal to minus log theta. So here you can see that the link is a theta is inversely related with the mean. So when we talk about the when we talk about the gamma distribution, then we consider the link is required the inverse link. This kind of the words you will heard in the future lectures. How that inverse link, how the gamma link, how the identity link, how the logistic link came into the picture. So because of this form, we have compared the density function with the exponential family of distribution, and we have obtained. Here we will ignore the minus sign, so you can write it as a 1 by mu as a theta, and it is a inverse link. Okay, so now we will talk about the negative binomial distribution is also a member of exponential family of distributions. Okay, so what is the application of a negative binomial? Binomial distribution is the application that given a trial n, what is the probability that you get the RH success? Okay, R success or X success. So out of n, suppose X successes are there, and if you wish to model these X successes, you can use the binomial distribution. But negative binomial is sometimes also known as the inverse binomial. That means if I wish to observe the X success or the RH success, Okay, then how many trials I require to conduct? तो मुझे एग्जाम में पास होना है तो कितनी बार में मैं पास हो जाऊंगा? फर्स्ट ट्रायल में हो जाऊंगा, सेकंड में होगा, एटसेट्रा. The binomial distribution measure the number of success in a given number of fixed trials, whereas the negative binomial distribution measure the number of failures before the RH success. कि आप पास हुए उसके पहले आपकी फेल्यूर कितनी थी? तो negative binomial distribution is a generalization of a geometric distribution. Number of failures before the first success. Here it is a RH success. An important application of negative binomial distribution is in the survey research design. If the researcher knows the value of P from the previous survey, that means the probability of success from the previous survey, then the negative binomial distribution can provide the number of subjects to contact to get the desired number of response for the analysis. So if you know the probability of success from the previous survey, and to achieve this success, how many individuals you need to survey, that means it will help you to get the value of n. In binomial, n was fixed and you try to find out the number of successes. Here number of success is fixed and you wish to find out that how many people you need to survey for this many successes. So that is how it is the inverse of binomial, and it is also known as a negative binomial distribution. So y is distributed as a negative binomial with success probability p and the goal of RH success, then the probability mass function in exponential family is written as. So this is nothing but the PMF of a negative binomial distribution. P is the probability of success, 1 minus P is the probability of failure, P raised to R, and 1 minus P raised to Y. Because Y we wish to know. We don't know the value of Y. We know the R. The RH success is fixed and we wish to what should be the value of Y. So this is exponent of, you can write it in the same nature, Y log 1 minus P, R log P plus this. You can compare with this. So what you will get, the theta equal to log 1 minus P, which implies theta equal P equal to 1 minus exponent of theta. And what is the value of the B theta? So it is a R log P. And what is the P? So P is written as a 1 minus exponent of this. So this is the B theta. So in a normal distribution, theta equal to mu, B theta equal to theta square by 2. In a binomial distribution, in a Poisson distribution, theta equal to log mu and B theta equal to e raised to theta t, e raised to theta. In a binomial distribution, theta equal to log mu upon 1 minus mu and B theta equal to minus log 1 minus mu. And in a gamma distribution, theta equal to 1 by minus mu and B theta equal to log mu. In a negative binomial distribution, theta equal to log 1 minus P and B theta equal to R log P, or you can say that it is R log 1 minus exponent of theta if you write in the form of that. So these are all the members of the distribution. Log normal distribution, do you know the property of log normal distribution? We know the property of the log normal distribution, that if y having a log normal distribution, then log y having a normal distribution. And log normal distribution has the lots of application in the general insurance, especially to model the distribution of a claim size. In the general insurance, we use the log normal distribution. So gamma distribution and log normal distribution, both the distribution are useful to model the claim size. And that is how there is a hairline difference between the log normal distribution and the gamma distribution. So that we will see in detail when we come to the generalized linear models with the constant CV. So this is the property. If y having a log normal distribution, then log y having a normal. So whenever we have a data and when we observe that the response follows the log normal distribution, what we have to take simply? We have to simply take the log of response and we have to fit the simple linear regression models, or you can say that you can use the generalized linear models with the Gaussian distribution with the link is identical. Okay. So I think we will keep today's session up to this. That any questions? Anyone? So no questions. Then it's good. Everything understood by you people. Very good. One more thing is that from the next week we will start the practicals, and we will start with the practical of binary logistic regression, how to perform the binary logistic regression in the R language. I hope you all have the computers facility at your home.
Yes.
So many of the people have the facility, but few students do not have the facility. Don't worry, we will also record the lectures. Similarly, I will take the 1 hours of this particular lecture, how to perform the binary logistic regression through R, and then I will share the recorded video to you, or I will upload into the YouTube. So whenever you get the facility, you can try to understand from that.
Okay, sir.
Yes, any question?
Okay.
Anyone? No questions? Nice. Thank you very much. Take care. We will meet again 10:45. But please join before 10:40 so that we can start our session sharply. And still many students are not attending. So please suggest them. Share the link if you have that link with you to your group so that they can attend. Because university is also taking this attendance. We are organizing online classes. We are taking the attendance. And when the internal marks will be there, this attendance will be conducted. And your presence is automatically recorded with the system. I have added the software. So please make sure you all will present. Thank you very much. Best wishes.